Welcome to the realm. Welcome to this realm of Millenia, for I am your host, the Millenia Mailman here today. I am sick as a dying dog, but as always, I will not let that stop me, so I'm still going for this morning walk. Probably going to extend the sickness out for a while, but healthy's healthy. So, I'm doing my usual walk. But today's video will be a Funny Guy Friday video. I'll be doing little skits in order to get going. But hey, that's just me, right? So welcome. Be ye a man, woman, or child, a spirit, creature, or demon. Be ye a native migrator, or maybe even an invader into the realm. Welcome, for I am your host, the Millennium Outman, here on this Funny Guy Friday filming factor. And you can go ahead, sit back, and relax, because I'll be world building long after you've already begun to acclimate and fit in. So go ahead and enjoy Funny Guy Friday as I review this jokey joke, if you will. It's like, I think this is the quietest walk I've been on. It is like only 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So, but have that as you will. But yeah. So, in general here, I'll start this one. So, one of the biggest lies that the lords of the heavens above has weaved for us was that the worst thing they could ever say was no, okay? That is a lie from the kingdom from above. Can't even blame the hell down below. It was spoken with good intentions, not evil ones, right? The worst thing they can say is no, right? And the worst thing she could say is no, right? It's like, that's a funny thing right there. The funny thing is that when people try to tell you, hey, the worst thing she says is no, so go ahead and go up there and motivate, downright educate, right? Worst thing she could say is no. Go ahead, say it. Get you a little experience in there with a little heartbreak. Go ahead, you'll be fine, right? The worst thing she could say is no. Now, in that, I say it's definitely the worst of the good intention lies, because it's trying out there is going to help you in life. It'll help you get that first step in. Things in motion tend to stay in motion, right? Things at rest tend to stay there. Understanding that the worst thing they could say is no allows you to deceive yourself just enough to get that first ball rolling, right? Get that first step moving forward. Hardest step is the first step, and every other step is just follow up. You might as well. It already hurts, but it might as well keep going, right? I already started. Go ahead, follow through. So it's one of those good things. It's a lesser of two evils in a particular sense, right? It's nothing too immaculate, it's nothing too crazy, but it's the lesser of two evils. Would you rather end up not existing from the start, or be hurt and affected for actually trying, right? Worst thing she can say is no. So naturally, with a love life as full as mine, the worst thing they could tell you is no. So in one case, though, there was a girl who ultimately was, in my understanding, in this eye of this particular beekeeper, is totally out of my league. But by golly, the worst thing she could tell me was no, right? Walk up there, shoot my shot, and instead of a no, I get it. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? Yes, you're so ugly, I cannot imagine. How could you dare? Like, oh, I wish she just said no. It's like, I wish you just said no, dude. The worst thing you were supposed to say was no. I didn't realize you and your whole posse over here all started gagging and throwing up on me, or around me, just at the sight and presence, the mere attempt got you guys hurling. Oh my gosh, can't believe that. The worst thing you were supposed to say was no. How dare you come up with something worse than no, right? Unbelievable. But hey, that's a bit cliche. That didn't really happen, right? But in other aspects of life, that's real. That's real. Ew, so disgusting. Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine. Like, the worst thing you could really say in other places other than just romance and, like, dating stuff is, like, say you're at work. Go ahead, ask for your days off, dude. Worst thing they can say is no. Cap. The worst thing they could say is, hey, instead of giving you that leave, I actually need you to work more hours that time. Wait, what? Yeah, and it seems like you're starting to wind down and relax, so I'm going to give you all these more hours. You're the first one. I was struggling, but since you came into the office, I'm going to make it you. You're going to get 10 more hours that week. Oh my gosh, no, I actually need the day off. Yeah, you're going to get all 10 of them extra hours that day. You thought you were going to have a 4 to 6 hour shift that day? You just wanted off so you could do your thing? No. I'm going to give you a 10-hour shift. You're going to end up needing to come in earlier and then probably stay later. So it's going to be more like a 12-hour shift, plus or minus a few little bits here and there. Because God forbid someone calls off that very same day or doesn't show up to work. You're going to have to fill it up on the back end and probably end up working one of those crazy 14 to 16-hour days. So you thought it was only going to be 4 to 6 hours? Yeah, man. No, it's going to be a 14 to 16. Highly likely, highly probable day. No. The worst thing you were supposed to say was no. No to my leave request on that day. No. You're correct. I'm telling you no, but no. I'm telling you more than no. I'm telling you, you have more to do. No. Worst thing they could say was no, right? Oh, diseased. Worst thing they could possibly say is no. Of course not. Worst thing that could ever be said is never no. The worst thing you could hear is not the no. If they say anything other than no, it's probably the worst thing they got in store for you. Okay? But let's say a real one. So, like, when I was little, I was dating this girl for a little bit, and I in hindsight, I actually believe that I was a rather charismatic kid, you know. I was more charming than I even knew or understood that I was, right? So people liked being around me, even if they didn't necessarily like me, because I'm pretty much an a-hole. Always been all my life. I can't help it. Not really sorry. I'm an a-hole, but I got a charisma stat of a high charisma stat. Everyone likes me, likes being around me, but up to a certain degree. Get the frick away from me. Leave me alone, right? So I was dating this person, and they liked me for that charisma. Not because I was handsome, just the charmingness of me can make you think I'm handsome for a couple of minutes. Then you're gonna need me to leave and do something else so you don't get a warped perception of how ugly I actually am in my face with all the acne and whatnot, right? Excuse me. So naturally, I was dating this girl. Ultimately, there were a few times when it felt to me in my naivete that she felt like being sexual, that I naturally rejected ultimately. And then growing through puberty, I'm like, maybe, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot. I'm gonna ask the questions, right? And ultimately, when I decided, I'm like, okay, the worst she can probably say is no, right? The worst she could say is no. So I'm gonna shoot the shot. I'm gonna try it out. Everyone else is saying that they don't have their virginity cards and stuff anymore. So the worst they could say is no. So might as well go for it, right? Of course. Name of the series. Of course not. Ultimately, I shoot the shot. she does say no, but she says it's subtle because she doesn't say the word no. And then a few days later, she's like, you know what? I don't think we can work out because I'm realizing I might just be an asexual human being. It's like, I don't know what any of these words mean, let alone the way you're using them. I don't know what an asexual human being is. I thought we were a Homo sapien race. Like, what are you talking about? I've heard of homosexual. I know we're Homo sapiens, right? But what's this asexual? Like, you a plant or something? It's like, what about a plant is more like you than it is like me? What is this plant sex that we're talking about here? That seems a bit weird, but okay. So she's like, I'm a bit more of an asexual, I guess. So she kind of describes it, and I kind of get it. It's like, oh, I mean, that's cool. It's like, I've gone this long without any interactions like that. So it was just a question. It doesn't mean anything positive or negative to me. That's cool. It's like, and but ultimately at the end of that conversation, no, we're not together. Is basically what she was saying, right? Just for a flash into a week later, we get this understanding of, oh, so you're dating again. Okay, that's cool. You found another asexual. They're not asexual. That's cool. What's going on? How you guys doing? That's good. And you later just see that, oh yeah, they're in an entirely heterosexual relationship, having heterosexual sexual encounters, from kissings to the huggings to touchings, and basically public PDA sexual encounters in the stairwells and whatnot. It's like, oh, so I feel like I'm very certain that you were making advances, and you didn't want me to ask about it because this is awkward. Talk about you're going asexual, or you're definitely asexual, and here a week later you're basically having sex in the stairwells with someone else. That's no judgment. I'm just saying, it's like, the worst you should have been able to say was no. And I found out the worst thing you could say was no to me specifically. It's like, you didn't have to weave the tale. I feel like you basically lied to my face. Talking all this sounds good, sounds realistic, sounds true, just for you to a week later make it so uncomfortable for me. Because that's my dude, that's my bro right there. Are you kidding? That's weird. Like, why'd you have to do it in this stairwell? I have to walk through this stairwell, dude. It's like, the worst thing you should have been able to say is no. Why didn't you just say no and let it be? Right, you had to explain yourself? Then again, back in my day, that was a time when people actually cared about the truth a bit more. And back in my day, that was in a time where people cared to explain themselves rather than live in any delusions, right? They cared about that image, that brand image, if you will, of what people saw them as, because that was a time before the OnlyFans and the Only Woes and the Shameless show came out. Long before that, it was back in my day, before the shamelessness was seen on TV and before the OnlyFans was in the eyes, a public prospect of 10-year-olds. That was back in my day. Might be a little old, but hey, man. Worst thing she could say is no. And Lord knows that is definitely not true. It should have been true, but it definitely was not true. How dare? How absolutely dare you? Right? Mere audacity some people have to have in order to tell you that lie is just beyond me, dude. It is beyond me, because I certainly will not have that shamelessness gusto. to be like, the worst thing she could say is no, bro. No. I've been told anything but no a million times throughout my career, at work, at play, and in relationships. And every last one of them was worse than no. So the worst thing she could say, no, absolutely not. Do not fool yourself. Maintain your own sanity by understanding there's always something worse than no. You could be told. Recognize it, have it deep down in your soul, and get over yourself. The worst thing they could say is anything but no. And that's the cold, hard, honest to God truth. But hey, that's just me. That's just me, your Millennium Mailman here. Stories I share, stories I tell. Hope that was found funny to you. Because the worst thing she could say is no, bro. The worst thing she could say is no. Have a good one. Peace.